I'll have to have Chris send it to me
All
after.
signs are pointing to this, as in the biggest game of both of their seasons, the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics are in a absolute war right now that takes a huge game in Game 6. And we're going to break this down, discuss everything going on with this Knicks-Celtics series that has been a banger thus far. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Knicks Digest Happy Hour stream. As I try to crop Pat and Bruce in here, we got the two Celtics Digest creators in here because, you know what, last week, me and Matt outnumbered Bruce. So now Patrick Billings and Bruce Veliz are here to outnumber me and give me some trouble as well. So we're going to talk everything on this series, where all the teams stand. Last game, Game 5, being a very interesting game played, where nobody was happy with the refs once again, especially Knicks fans. So, guys, let's jump into it. In around an hour, 2 hours from now, actually, the game's at 8 p.m. EST, we will be seeing the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics face off in a Game 6. A game that has a lot of outside noise, already considering the fact that, look, we get it. The Knicks, they had what should have been a win in Game 5 had they not played horrible basketball and been coached horribly as well. They were widely expected to win that game. Boston came out, showed that just because Jason Tatum's down, they still have an excellent roster, and that this is getting very interesting. Now, Bruce, you've been on the channel before, so I want to hear from Pat first, also because Pat and I both went to the same college, and you didn't go to our college, Bruce. So, sorry, I'm giving him. I'm giving it to Pat first. Pat, what do you think about this? Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, well, we can look at last game first. I think last game was definitely a little bit of a sweat, but it felt like for Celtics fans, at least for me, this is exactly where we wanted the Knicks to have them at halftime in a tie game and not up 20. So there was a little bit of a difference than having to actually chase for a lead than trying to keep a lead for a whole second half, especially a 20-point lead. So I think it kind of changed their demeanor a little bit so that they could continue to step on the pedal and actually be forced to kind of step on the pedal instead of kind of letting up a little bit and forcing up a couple threes. Like I said to Bruce a lot in that 1/3 quarter where they had 20 shots and 19 were threes. They kind of had to hold off of that and really have to kind of attack the basket and play a whole different style of basketball. And I mean, they looked really good in Game 5, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah. Bruce, any thoughts as well?
Yeah, I mean, Patrick kind of really hit it, but I had a feeling going into this game they weren't going to lose, right? Going to do it for JT at home. No offense. I just had a feeling they were going to win this game, and they pulled out and prevailed for JT at home. And I kind of feel like that was what was really resonated from the Celtics post game as well, from Jalen Brown, from Drew Holiday, right? They really collected themselves in a first half that was close, even in a first quarter where the Knicks kind of really dominated a little bit. The Celtics were able to bounce back and really put the gas on the pedal to them against them in the second half compared to the Knicks versus them usually.
Yeah, I definitely thought that with this Knicks game, with this Knicks Celtics game in Game 5, there was that feeling that happens in sports a lot where you see this team lose a key player, or even when a coach gets fired. I was in a Twitter group chat with a bunch of Knicks fans, and one of them related it, completely different sport, to when the Colts hired Jeff Saturday. They won that game. Other way, Bruce. There we go. Sorry, my cameras are terrible. But
you're good.
And then obviously the Colts lost those next 7 games after that. So what we've seen with a lot of sports teams is you lose this player, you lose a coach, something changes, and you come out stronger because you have this new sense of purpose, this new sense of momentum. There's something different, and losing JT, it just gave the Celtics a reason to play hard, that even if they do end up losing this series, and I know they're not a team that thinks like that, they just won the NBA Finals, but even if they went out, it's like, we didn't drop 3 games at home. We won a game for Jason Tatum that mattered, to show that, first of all, the Knicks have to take the Celtics seriously. The Knicks went back to drop coverage heavily in that Game 5, and what we've seen thus far is the Knicks rely on drop coverage the entire game twice. Those are Games 3 and Games 5, and they have a common denominator. The Celtics won those games. The Knicks twice, in both the games that they came back from 20 points, we saw them do drop coverage at halftime, switch to a more switch-heavy defense, and they came back. So there's a formula that's worked for the Knicks against the Celtics that they've moved away from because Tom Thibodeau insists on this drop coverage style. And For me, really, what I saw was just an ugly performance by the Knicks. Like, I did not like the way the game was reffed in that third quarter, specifically with Jalen Brunson picking up 70 million fouls in 5 minutes. But at the same time, that's not why the Knicks lost the game at all. I've said this on every video I've made since the Knicks lost that game. The Knicks lost because they played worse. Objectively, the Celtics looked like they were 10 times the team the Knicks were. That was, outside of game 3, the biggest skill gap that we saw, or at least it looked like we saw, which is insane to think about.
I think that one thing too that was a game changer was the Celtics actually shooting the ball well for once. I don't know if they finished at 50%, but I know at one point in the fourth they were still sitting at 51, 52% just from the field itself. So I think that's a huge change as well. But I do agree with what you're saying about the Knicks coaching style because Cat obviously hasn't been good on the defensive end. So it's like, what are they going to do on the offensive end? It's where would they rather take the hit, on defense or on offense? Because Mitch barely played that second half on. I was waiting for him to come in, and the only reason why he was coming in was because Cat was getting into foul trouble. So it's like you got to make a decision at one point. And also Tibbs kind of letting the starters play until about 2:30 left in the fourth. I mean, that's just classic Tibbs, just playing them for no reason. But I mean, I think that the Knicks style of play has definitely been interesting, and they kind of been playing in a way, especially in those first couple games, to let the Celtics beat themselves instead of beating them themselves.
I feel
Yeah, I would
similarly.
second that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would second that as well. I
Look,
just feel like with the Knicks, it's just a little bit tougher because like me and Patrick have talked about this, but like not that the Celtics only have like really lost the games, but the Knicks, I feel like besides that game 4 haven't truly like won a game where they've dominated it compared to where the Celtics have, where it's been a tale of two halves, where like you've seen the Celtics in game 1 and game 2 kind of winning that first half compared to the Knicks more winning the second half. And that's where the kind of like different display has kind of led us to go to this series.
yeah, this has been an interesting one thus far. Look, I do like a lot of the times the way the Knicks have played this series, specifically in these second halves, but it's getting to a point where now the Celtics, they're going to know how to stop the Knicks from coming back. Like, they're going to be able to basically not allow that same BS that the Knicks are like, well, we're down 20, time to lock in. I don't want to see that happen again. I have no interest in seeing the Knicks go down in this game. I want to see them come out with a sense of urgency for the first time, really, this series, where the Knicks will go out there and actually look like the better team. That when they're at home, they've struggled to do that all season long. Now, there's a bunch of different fan takes on this. One of them that's been common, I want to know the outsider perspective on this. Obviously, Boston is a massive sports market as well. And something I've talked about with Sean Bernard on Sixers Digest before is there's the Northeast of the United States. For some reason, the sports love is different. Your teams are crazier. The fans love the team more than other places. And I know in some areas with football and the South, it's a bit different as well, specifically college football when you get to like SEC territory. But when it comes to pro sports, it feels like this Northeast, when you love them more than anyone. And when you hate them more. The fans are more intense up here. Obviously, MSG right now, if I wanted to go to that game, I could cut off my left arm and sell it for a seat hanging upside down from the rafters or something. Like, do you think that is an impact that the Knicks fans are being priced out of this series?
Well, you
I
see
don't
the
know.
price of the head-in, right, Bruce? Did you see that?
Well, I was gonna say last game, I feel like the Knicks were at least in game 5 for a little bit were a little bit louder than the Celtics fans, right? I know the Celtics fans kind of had some early traffic kind of running into them, right? So it was a little bit difficult for them to be able to get that, but and actually like get there for the stadium and stuff like that. But I feel like the Celtics also have had some really expensive tickets as well. Like I know living in Boston, the cheapest ticket was like $150 to go to game 5, but that's still expensive.
That's actually not
I don't
bad. That's actually not bad. I mean,
going down 3-1, going down 3-1,
yeah, I guess so.
that's why.
I mean, for people who don't know, I'm also from New York. I just happen to be a Boston Celtics fan. Shout out Rondo. So, you know, but kind of I know what it's like to pay for a New York sports ticket. I mean, and what hurt me the most today was seeing that the Thunder, you see the tickets for that game, there was the most expensive that they could remember being $170. I would kill for that for a game 7, $170. I was at game 5 of the World Series sitting in the rafters. I spent like $700 to watch them collapse after the fifth inning. I would more likely love to spend $170 instead of what I paid to watch that.
that was an unfortunate day.
I know. I hate
Sucked.
bringing it up, but I mean, like you say, the fandom, though, Chris. I mean, it's funny how you say that when they're good, everyone's behind them. I'm finding a lot of new Knicks fans out of nowhere talking smack to me. I'll tell you, they haven't watched one Knicks game in years, and here all of a sudden, everyone's saying "F you, Pat. The Celtics stink." Here you go. Like where have you been forever? Like where has this been? So I totally get it.
My least favorite type of New York fans, and I'm someone who I have no beef with the New York Mets at all. In fact, once in a while,
Right.
when
Not
I'm
on
needed,
today.
I will be doing some Mets Digest videos here and there, but not a Mets fan at all. I finish every video, whether it's Jets, Knicks, or Yankees, with "Go Knicks, go Jets, go Yankees," and I said yesterday, "Have a great day and goodbye," because it threw me off. I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna say that. I can't." But yeah. Well, first of all, Pat, Patrick Cannelly said, "Go get a beer."
Yeah. Yeah. PK, I got a Jack and Coke in here for you, bud. It's no Yins Light. Shout out to the Steeler fans out there, but I got a little. Oh yeah. See, I got all my boys in here shouting out. Got a couple Knicks fans in here too, man.
Let's go.
Everyone's showing love, man.
Yeah, you're getting
Where are
some.
your
You're getting some
Celtics
early
fans
shoutouts.
friends, Patrick? Where do they
Uh,
exist?
they're getting locked in right now. They're all locked in. Maybe the Knicks fans are a little bit looser, feeling too good. I don't know. Chris,
We're
how are you?
comfortable. I feel good.
Comfortable.
I think the Knicks are winning this game. The same way that I was kind of in the back of my mind, like, I don't really think the Celtics are going to drop 3 straight at home against the Knicks, who they've been better than all season. I know we've won. I know we're 1-1 at home. I know we've struggled at home, but this feels like a game the Knicks are going to play with a purpose. The Jalen Brunson little smile and wave gives me confidence. This man in
But
game
does it? That
sixes.
could be both ways. Could be both ways though. It's
Could
like
be.
why is he not locked in? Like it's like when your coach yells at you for laughing on the bench when you're getting blown out by 25. He's like, "What are you laughing at? You think this is funny?" Like one of those.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I felt. I've been yelled at too many times for that.
I wasn't on the Sacred Heart Club basketball team. I was too busy having Pat watch my knee explode in the gym.
Bro, that was crazy. I actually the one time we played ball together and this guy blows out his knee.
Just running down the court, just jogging slowly. Just jogging slowly, my kneecap just slides to the inside of my leg. It was a wonderful time. Felt great. I tried to run 3 days later. It hurt like hell, but it's all right. We're back
Oh my
now.
gosh.
We're back. I just don't jump ever. um,
Yes. Pat Tomaso's here. He's here. He
Hey,
said, "Don't you worry, Bruce. I'm in the chat.
go
Let's
crazy.
go."
all right, we got a lot of Celtics fans in here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know my boy Josh Crampton's in here. I know he was
Yeah.
texting me before asking if I was
My guy
going stream,
Brad
and I
is in
said,
here.
"Oh, we're gonna
Shout
come
out
in
Brad
here.
Dressler.
I'm gonna cause some havoc."
Look, my buddy Brad Dressler, who used to be back when Daily Knicks was a good website on Fansided, he was the editor for it. Then it fell off because he left, so that's their fault. I'm giving the Knicks a 40%
White
chance
L.
to win.
Derek White
Do you
out
see,
tonight.
do you see who's coming through? Like he's gonna come through in the Garden tonight?
Yeah,
No,
I
he's
think
not.
I think
Eric White.
Chris might be seeing a little Derek White, Peyton Pritchard 40 plus game from both again tonight. I don't know. A lot of confidence going into tonight with them.
I do now. So basically, as a Knicks fan right now, I would go up to Tom Thibodeau and beg him to just please stop playing help defense on Derek White. Like the one guy who I don't want them to play help defense on. Look, Jalen Brown in the corner, stick to him. He's going to hit those corner threes. He's an elite corner 3 shooter. That's been the case for years. That there's times, and Mikal Bridges has been the same way. I'm not hating on Jalen Brown. I'm a huge Jalen Brown fan. There's times where the wing, top of the key, he's not a great shooter. Those corners, he consistently shoots over 40% from every single year. It's something that you can trust is going to happen. The Knicks, they've been pretty good at not letting Jalen Brown shoot corner threes, which I think has been nice. It's been a real thing that they've tightened up on. In turn, Derek White's been able to shoot 10 plus open threes or open enough threes this series. Why? Like, why is this happening? It's the most frustrating thing to me is objectively, especially without Tatum there, he's the best shooter on the Celtics. It's not close. Like, Derek White's an elite 3-point shooter. As Jay Bishman mentioned in the comments earlier, Derek White, before he got traded to the Celtics that season, was carrying the Spurs offense in games that they were winning. I mean, I believe that team still had DeRozan on. I'm not honestly sure. That might have been that one buffer year where they didn't. But regardless, we've seen Derek White been able to step up and relish in these moments where he becomes a top scoring option. Right now, he's the second option. Obviously, the whole world's focus is on don't let Jalen Brown drive to the hoop if you're the Knicks. Personally, what I want to see if OG Anunoby could just handle Jalen Brown well enough, just contain Jalen Brown. Do not let Jalen Brown shoot in the corner. Don't let Derek White shoot threes at all. If you're going to drop off on someone, drop off on if Porzingis plays Porzingis because he's sick and he's not shooting the ball well, or Drew Holiday, who is very playoff inconsistent when it comes to shooting. So I think the Knicks are mismanaging this series in a few ways. I think none more than the biggest way is just Derek White's shooting 10 open threes a game. It's insane. There's no reason for it.
Yeah, I was going to say two things. One, to speak on Derek White with the San Antonio Spurs, I fell victim to that trap as when Derek White was on the Spurs, I went to a game and saw him play, and he dropped 30 on the Boston Celtics, and we lost. And it was a game that we were projected to win by 15. So I think that was the day that Brad Stevens saw Derek White and said, this guy can torch offenses and be this shining light. I'm going to go out and get him, especially on that low value that I can go out and get him on. So I'm very happy that he was able to do that for the Boston Celtics. And I like that point that you mentioned about OG Anunoby, Chris, because the one thing that I've been hearing about Knicks fans, right? I haven't really been watching a lot of Knicks stuff talking about the series. I've mainly been watching Celtics stuff as a Celtics fan and as a Celtics, content guy. But one thing I have heard about the Knicks is that they want really OG Anunoby to not only kind of get out of these offensive inconsistencies that we've seen throughout the playoffs, but also really step up on the defensive side on Jalen Brown, like you just mentioned, right? We saw Jalen Brown kind of switch up onto Jalen Brunson in Game 5 with Jason Tatum being out, and the Celtics ran Drew Holiday and Karl-Anthony Towns on defense. And Jalen Brown was picking up Jalen Brunson similar to how he was picking up Luka Doncic in the finals at the half court, really aggressive, maintaining to try to stay his play. And I've seen a lot of Knicks fans talking about how they want OG Anunoby kind of similar to do that tonight on Jalen Brown, right? Kind of being that primary creator for this team. Maybe having a guy like Mikal Bridges kind of step up on Derek White. I wanted to know your thoughts on that, kind of looking at from the Knicks perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that Jalen Brown specifically, both the whole Celtics team in general, Derek White, the shots have been, like the shots that Derek White's defended, the percentage is good on the Knicks side of things. It's unclear why. I think I test Derek White's playing good defense. That's what I've seen from the series. He looks like he's playing good defense. However, Brunson's field goal percentage has been remarkable. So I think that's one of those things where it's just White is playing good defense. It's some of those good defense, better offense shots that we've seen from Brunson, Tatum, Brown all series long. And I think Jalen Brown guarding Jalen Brunson is something that's worked consistently because usually Brunson can handle guys who are bigger than him. But Brown, yeah, as you said, Bruce, he's picking guys up early. I mean, he's making OG's life very uncomfortable. OG, when he's treated like someone who could go for 25, which towards the end of the season he proved he was pretty consistent at doing when given the opportunity, it feels like the Celtics have locked in, and the Knicks thus far have been very successful when OG takes more than 14 shots, and they've lost most of the games in the playoffs that he has taken under 14 shots. So there's this weird level of if you don't use OG as a scorer, the Knicks play worse, and I think the Celtics did a great job last game at taking OG out of the game. Yes, he missed one or two open shots, but for the most part, he just got guarded well. So for me, more than anything, I want to see OG sort of be able to take more control. I want to see the Knicks work more switches. I know the Celtics are good at avoiding that, and they're a team that plays very good perimeter defense. Brunson, in Game 1, when the Knicks came back, every single time he attacked Al Horford. They just worked screens every time that Brunson would get that Al Horford matchup. It feels like the Knicks have went away from that a little bit, and that there's more sense of being rushed by the Knicks. I don't want to see them rush. The Celtics play a fast-paced type of basketball because it's worked, and it continues to work, and in basketball in general right now, it works. Look at the Pacers. I know their road has been full of injuries for opponents, but at the same time, there's a fast-paced team that now back-to-back has made the conference finals. So it's something that you do understand is the more modern style of basketball and is working. The Knicks, they've gone away from that, even with a team that would totally benefit from a coach who coaches offensively in a fast-paced style, but they have the opposite of that. If they did have that type of coach, I think this series would, first of all, I think there'd be a little bit of a higher entertainment value, given it's been a great series. I'm just saying that to see two teams kind of clash like that would be fun. But at the same time, I want to see the Knicks control this tempo more, and I think a big part of that is working switches, getting Jaylen Brown off of OG, getting him off of when he gets switched onto Jalen Brunson, work a different switch, getting Jaylen Brown onto the Josh Harts of the world, or even Karl-Anthony Towns, just because Towns loves to try to draw fouls against smaller guys for some reason, because he thinks he's 6'1" for some reason, when if he could solve that, that'd be helpful. So there's a few things I want to see with the Knicks. One of them is if Towns isn't being guarded by a big man, please go to the low block. It makes no sense. It's really annoying to watch. On top of that, I think it's just working optimal switches, and if Jaylen Brown's going to continue to be that aggressive on defense, it's going to cause problems for the Knicks. So I want to see them continue to work into situations where Brown is guarding Josh Hart, who outside of last game has stayed out of it a lot. I mean, I love that he took 9 threes last game. It kills me when the Knicks have a 5-out team and Josh Hart's like, I'm not going to shoot this wide open 3. That bothers me. I mean, literally Mitchell Robinson took the worst free throw maybe in NBA history a few games ago. And even when I see him just standing on like the elbow, just I'm screaming at the TV, just shoot. You're an NBA player. I truly believe that if any of the three of us could stand at the elbow and go 5 for 10 from that spot.
From there.
Yeah, exactly. So if a normal person, if a Sacred Heart Club basketball player, I'm not one, if Pat can do it, I believe that you can too, Mitch. You made the NBA. Pat should have made the NBA, and it's BS that he didn't. He's being blackballed. We all know it. We all know it. But it kills me,
Chris,
man.
I think you fell into the Mitchell Robinson summer mixtape kind of hole.
I did.
You see him doing all the crossovers at the YMCA, booming on everybody, threes. But I do want to talk about OG Anunoby actually, because I do have the honor and privilege to have MSG on my TV, so I do get to watch some Knicks games. I think that one thing too that the Knicks could benefit from is seeing OG kind of be in the corner and kind of get those backdoor cuts, because when he first came to the Knicks, he was a menace on the backdoor. Like, he was constantly getting some backdoor cuts to a dunk practically every single time, and I feel like they kind of went away from that. And then with a guy like Josh Hart, like you said, I watched him at Villanova. I love Villanova. That's my number one team overall. So I've watched them come through Villanova through high school up to college and to now. That's one thing that I worry about too, because this isn't the usual Knicks that you would see. These guys have flourished in MSG their whole careers. Villanova is a career stud at MSG, right, Bruce?
Yes.
No, I mean, shout out Seton Hall, but we own you. But no, but Josh Hart is able to make those shots too, because he has done that his whole college career, and he's kind of got away from it because they need him to do different things and kind of be that gritty guy to kind of go and get a rebound. When Mitch is kind of fighting 3 different guys, he's going to go in there and kind of be aggressive. But I think that the Knicks just kind of have to stay aggressive and just kind of look at different looks instead of running that 5-out, like you said, Chris. But, I mean, hey, when you got Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, and all these guys, I feel like Al Horford kind of getting taken advantage of is crazy because, like me and Bruce have talked about before, he's one of the best defenders against Darius Garland this year. So I never have a problem with him stepping up on Jalen Brunson because he can kind of stay in front. But it's just sometimes one of those guys is just a little traffic cone that you could just shoot right over that everybody is just going to make shots on. And like sometimes that just happens. Like everyone just has this weird confidence when there's his hand in my face. This is butter all day.
Yeah.
So that's just another thing too.
No, I agree that there is that thing, and that's across sports in general. You just sometimes have someone's number, and there's not always a rhyme or reason to it. With Brunson, it seems like he just has Derek White's number, despite the fact that Derek White is the prototype of people who are good against Jalen Brunson. Very smart, very quick. Those guys get to Brunson. I mean, last year, and I fully believe the Knicks are winning tonight and winning this series. I don't like when Brunson gets guarded by TJ McConnell. I think it's a nightmare matchup for some reason. TJ McConnell just has Jalen Brunson down. He figured him out. It was the most annoying thing as a Knicks fan. Also, Chris Gross said that you can't shoot. So,
yeah, I mean, he's a Nets fan. He's in full-out poverty right now. So prayers up to him. Prayers up to Nets fans. They couldn't get the pick. They're gonna have to get like they're gonna have to end up with Yakachonis and I mean, that's just gonna be a full rebuild for another 10 years. So good luck with that, CG.
Everybody knows that the eighth overall draft pick in the NBA is always exactly what you want. That always works well.
I mean, Ben has a kind of similar feeling with the ninth pick, right? With the Raptors.
Yes, that was funny. It was nice that I got to text him and just say, "Hey Ben, if you guys ever watch Raptors Digest out there, Ben Rogers, we got to crack some jokes at his expense." But yeah, shout out to Ben for the Airbnb at Montreal next week. That'll be cool.
Bye.
But yeah, look, with the Knicks, with the Celtics, these two teams clearly match up well in the playoffs. This is fun. And look, I knew I was going to get into it at some point, Bruce. We touched on this last time around. Especially with Jason Tatum's injury, which I've talked a lot about, really just upset me because the Knicks were going to win that game. First of all, the Knicks were going to win that game. And the idea of the whole, like, well, you won because of the injuries. I'm like, I get it. But also, just I felt terrible for him. You could see that more than the physical pain was the emotional pain of that injury. So all the love to Jason Tatum forever. But
they saw him today. They saw him today. Does that worry you a little bit? They
that
all
actually
saw
does
Jason.
not make me feel good. That does not make me feel good at all.
Harry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, they're all going to be courtside tonight. Maybe they're sitting next to Spike, maybe splitting them a little bit.
It's
I don't know.
We got Melo, Starberry. We got Latrell Sprewell.
If it goes to Game 7, like I said, which it will, you're going to see KG and PG right on that baseline again, and JB's going to go nuclear. So I don't know. There's a lot of things to worry about outside of the court right now for you.
Look, as long as we get Anne Hathaway to come watch OG Anunoby play, we're good. We just need Anne Hathaway. If Anne Hathaway shows up, we're good.
I beg you, no Suni Lee, please.
If
I can't
Suni
do
Lee
that.
shows up, if Suni Lee and Anne Hathaway both show up, Wilt Chamberlain's record dies tonight. That is the end of this here.
It's going to be like Peyton Pritchard in the Seattle Pro-Am. Peyton Pritchard in the Seattle Pro-Am right there.
What do you put up, what, like a 108 or what was
That's why we call him Wilt. Me and my boys call him Wilt because of that. 92 points.
Oh, my God.
Just like Shaquille O'Neal last game with Luke Cornett. I mean, who knows what we're going to see from the Celtics tonight? I mean, Chris, I don't think the lineups came out tonight, but do you think the Celtics run that same starting lineup with KP regardless of what's going on with him? I mean, you kind of just like stick with something just because it worked from the start. But I mean, Luke Cornett had a crazy game, but he's kind of the guys that has been taking some fouls on Mitch to try and get him to the line. So I feel like they can't really afford that right now. So maybe KP will kind of turn into that guy a little bit. I mean, what are your feelings on KP?
I honestly think that they should use the same lineup, partially because Luke Cornett's done the best job at neutralizing Mitch. Of the three Celtics big men, I think Luke Cornett's been the most successful when it comes to rebounding the ball, just being that literal enormous human being presence that, like, Porzingis, and I've seen it live, the man, he doesn't always love to do the dirty work. And he does not like being the only big man on the floor. He's actively uncomfortable in those situations. So I think having Horford out there will benefit Porzingis both offensively and defensively. On top of that, the Knicks will refuse to run that double big lineup of Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson, which makes all the sense, by the way, because if you start Mitch and take him out with 5 minutes, you can avoid Hackimich whatsoever entirely. But the Knicks don't want to do that for some odd reason because Thibodeau does not change things. So I don't expect the Knicks to change their starting lineup. I would rather the Knicks change and adapt. I think the Celtics should absolutely keep their lineup. Cornette is comfortable being that only big man out there. He's also just been better than Porzingis this series, with Porzingis being ill. So all that in mind, I think they should keep the same lineup, as well as everyone knows that Porzingis, even when he's just not playing well, can just randomly just go out there and just hit 9 threes for no reason at all, because he's one of those guys who he doesn't really get phased too often about playing poorly. I think there's more pressure on him now because the whole illness thing, and on top of that, just the fact that Tatum's not there. I think the Celtics should keep the same lineup. I personally think the Knicks should pull Josh Hart and bring him off as sixth man and just have him sub in for Mitch at the 6-5 minute mark, something like that, and then just use your starting unit then. That, I think, makes more sense to me in regards to lineups entirely.
I mean, I think that Deuce should get a couple more minutes, honestly. He's been shooting the ball really well. at an over 40% like clip from three. I mean, it seems like every time he's touching the ball, he's getting a bucket, but that's probably what it feels like for you guys watching Derek White because he's the one practicing those bad like pass threes with heavy contested and it's just like a little bit of like I don't even know the word honestly, but I don't know. Bruce, any thoughts, bro?
Patrick, Patrick.
My boys are
I'm gonna
cooking
have
here.
to I'm gonna have to disagree with Chris. I think the Celtics are gonna switch up the lineup. I think
Well, that means you got the lineup in your hand, doesn't it?
no, it doesn't. But I think the Celtics need a hero, and that hero is Luke Cornett, baby. I saw him come out last game, guns a-blazing, ready to go for this Celtics squad. I want to see him in that starting lineup alongside Al Horford, move Kristaps Porzingis to that bench, and have Luke thrive down low on Karl-Anthony Towns. We know he can match up against him. We know he can pick up Josh Hart. He can pick up some of these other guys. I want to see Luke Cornett getting the most availability because he deserves it for this Celtics squad. And I really want to see him once again, even if it's not a 7 block night, have a big impact for this Celtics squad once again alongside Derek White, Jalen Brown, Al Horford, Drew Holiday, whoever's ready to step up for this Celtics squad to get us back to Boston.
As you say that, real quick, go on to Twitter. Torrey Craig in the Luke Cornett jersey tonight. Does that worry you? Does that worry you?
Oh.
I'll say this. If we lose to a man who one day, when I was bored, I don't know what
Wasn't
grade I must have been in. It was someday in July. I turn on the Knicks Summer League game, and some 7'3" dude shows up and hits 5 threes in the first half. And I go, oh, this guy, Luke Cornett, has to be on the Knicks. He has to stay on the roster. If he's the reason the Knicks don't make the conference finals, I'm going to take my computer and just toss it out my window. I'm going to lose.
I could take it. I would take it.
I don't want the Knicks to lose to a former Knick. It would have been very similarly to if they lost to Porzingis. But the Porzingis thing's a bit different because he was drafted 4th overall, and I mean he's just been
I mean,
good.
Luke was
throughout his
an
NBA career.
undrafted guy, right? An
Undrafted
undrafted
out of
guy.
Andy,
Right?
yeah.
But Chris, like me and Bruce have talked about so many times. That was my first video here on Celtics Digest talking about Luke Cornett and trying to get him to shoot threes because he did that with the Knicks. I saw a whole mixtape today on
Oh
Celtics
yeah.
Twitter, him banging threes. He's the SEC leader for 3-pointers made by people over 7 foot tall, and he's only taken 2 threes this year. I mean, they're probably just grenades that he's just tossed up. I haven't seen them to be honest, but like he just totally changed his game to like a pick and roll kind of lob threat where he's like the same height as Porzingis. He's like an
Yeah.
inch shorter, which is honestly unbelievable. But I think that he's had one of like the biggest career switches since Brooke Lopez. If that's kind of like talking a little crazy, but like he really went from a perimeter shooter who actually had some skill down low to just strictly down low, just like some old school
Mhm.
kind of big.
Yeah, and I mean, look, he's gonna get paid good money this offseason too. And
By Boston.
Afford it. We can't afford it. Chill. Maybe another
speaking
No,
of
no.
money and all that, I do have a question for you guys in a second, but fun fact about Luke Cornett and Porzingis when they were teammates on the Knicks. First of all, they were teammates with Mitchell Robinson, which is just a weird thing to think about. They all were teammates once upon a time. And so obviously Porzingis' name specifically on the Knicks, but it carried over as the unicorn. And then Luke Cornett was also the unicorn, but Korn because Cornett. So that was a fun time outside of the fact that the Knicks won like 20 games that year, so that sucked. But look, Porzingis is Ben Simmons. Like, that's not fair for Porzingis. He's not. He's not. OKC goes 10 deep, which is scary every game. We will get into some
I didn't
comments in
see
a moment.
I mean, the
I didn't
Celtics
see
do
Ben
go
Simmons
that's
have a
pretty
20-point
deep,
game.
too. I mean, the Celtics go pretty deep. The Knicks just refuse to go deep.
No. We have fans right now talking in the chat about how they want to see Tyler Kolek step out there. I mean, there's
Shout out
as
to
good of a
Mark.
chance.
Big East, Big East.
I have 2 of my best friends on the planet went to Marquette, and one of them said he met Tyler Kolek in a bar once, and Tyler Kolek could barely speak because
Hell yeah.
we can
go.
all add it up.
Type of player you want. I mean,
Diddy will be able to watch tonight. Just tweeted that out.
No, how?
Diddy will be
Why?
able. Diddy will be able to watch tonight's Knicks games.
Behind the bar.
This is the Bruce Veliz info that
Yo,
he's going
Chris, I,
for.
I actually have another thing that I will bring up. Actually,
Go for it.
if you're curious about certain stats, man.
I'll take some
So
stats.
something about Drew Holiday, right? This is per StatMuse. Him in game sixes, he has a record of 5-1. That one loss being that Jason Tatum disgusting game that he had against the Bucks. But he's averaging 18 and a half points per game, 5.7 rebounds per game, 6.5 assists per game, and 3.2 steals per game, which is first all time. So how does that make you feel that Drew Holiday could be a factor in this one? Which, I mean, we kind of thought that it would be like a little Derek White, Peyton Pritchard kind of vibe tonight, maybe. But Drew Holiday getting the mix, not too much fun.
I will say this. In the 4 game sixes that he's played in the Knicks uniform, and I'm just reading this tweet right off of Tommy Beer's Twitter, so shout out Tommy Beer. Also, what a last name. Jalen
This is who?
Brunson, Tommy Beer.
Brunson,
He's a he covers. Oh yeah, but Brunson. Brunson's averaging a nice 38.3 points, 6.8 assists, and 3.5 threes made. These are his averages, and excluding the game that he broke his hand last year versus the Pacers, in the 11 games following a Knicks postseason loss, Jalen Brunson, since he's gotten to New York, Jalen Brunson's averaging 34.5 points, 8 assists, and 4.7 rebounds. We're yet to see a classic,
This is gonna be
what he's
good.
known for, Jalen Brunson 40 bomb, because that's what he does in the
Yeah.
playoffs. Is he puts up 40 bombs, and we're yet to see one.
We got to
so
see
I
a
think
good.
tonight's the night.
We got to see a good offensive duel tonight. That's what we got to
We
see.
do.
We saw it similar in game. We saw it similar in game 4 with Tatum and Brunson before Tatum got injured. Unfortunately, going back and forth, even late with Brunson and Mikal kind of ringing it up on the Boston Celtics. But I think tonight, like you just mentioned, Chris, the Knicks are once again hungry, out for the revenge, kind of losing that game in Boston, right? So guys like Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, they're going to be coming with the vengeance. Josh Hart, Deuce McBride, amongst many others. But also the Celtics are also looking to get revenge. So I think tonight we're going to see a very solid offensive game. Maybe not like as much of a nitty-gritty defensive game as we usually would see between these two teams in the series.
I could see it. I very well could. I think that we very likely will see an offensive game, and let's just say, for the fun of it, now that we've hit that 40-minute mark and we start to talk a bit of the future that's going forwards from now. You guys mentioned it a bit with Cornette. It's also got to be said about Al Horford. And ever since Tatum went down, there's been a lot of talk. Some big changes could be coming to the Boston Celtics over the offseason. What are we thinking here?
Well, first of all, I think that we did a couple videos on this first, and it really felt like this is about like a couple weeks ago. We felt like if they won the championship, that there wouldn't really be too many moves to be made. But I think that now with Porzingis' illness, JT's injury, there's kind of a weird kind of feeling right now, like as if they're kind of being forced to kind of make some moves to get off of these guys right now. And I think that Peyton Pritchard can kind of move his way into the starting lineup because he's kind of deserved it at this point. So Drew Holiday, he's on an expensive contract as well. That could definitely be moved. But I think that there's a weird situation right now, especially with KP's illness. He would be the first one to get moved. And I hope Al Horford doesn't retire. I know he's getting old. I'd love to see him play for 50 more years if he played the same way every single night. But I mean, that just really won't happen. But we just did a video today, and the Celtics actually interviewed Cooper Flagg. If you guys want to know any information on that, you can go to Celtics Digest and you can go and see that video, because they also interviewed Trey Johnson, because like Bruce said in the article that you could only interview 13 players in the draft process, and they decided to go and talk to the #1 pick and a top 10 pick. So if that's a little bit telling about what's going on in the Celtics front office, I mean, take it as it is.
Yeah, I kind of will second what Patrick said too, kind of going into it with my thoughts. I'd agree with Patrick kind of going into the finals if they had, made the finals or lost or, had won the finals. Maybe we would see kind of some minor moves, maybe a Sam Hauser trade or some guys on the edges, but maybe not a full gone blown up with the new ownership kind of coming into Boston. But going into obviously Jason Tatum's injury, Porzingis not really looking great in the playoffs. They might have to take a little bit of a step back. It does seem like a Porzingis move, or like Patrick said, a Drew Holiday move to kind of reward Peyton Pritchard does seem kind of in the works. They also do have a rookie in Baylor Shireman who can kind of play that role similar to a Sam Hauser, as a scoring wing or guard for this Celtics team off the bench. So maybe they look to invest a little bit in him. And then kind of diving into, Luke Cornett and Al Horford. Al Horford, I think, will remain a Celtic. I don't think he's really going to retire, in my opinion. I think he'll come back with the Celtics team, and I think the Celtics will find a team-friendly deal, even if it's not a vet minimum, a little bit over the fact to kind of keep Horford at least for another year or two. And who knows, kind of eyeing that Porzingis move. I think we've seen with Luke Cornett's dominance that he's provided that he can kind of step in for Cornett, even in the preseason when Porzingis was out for a little while. Cornett was that first starting big in Abu Dhabi. A lot of fans questioned that, but he looked solid. And even in the first half of the season, he looked solid without Porzingis here. So I do think maybe looking towards a Porzingis, maybe not salary dump, but trying to kind of move off that contract, save some money in the end, and using some of that money to bring back Luke Cornett and Al Horford while still getting a solid center back into that rotation could kind of be the kind of quick fix for the Celtics. And then talking about the Cooper Flag stuff, I think they're kind of just showing some interest. But like Patrick said, it is interesting to see the Celtics be interested in some guys in the top 10. And who knows, maybe they do look at a guy like Derek White, Jalen Brown, or something like that at their peak value and look to sell off of one of those guys to maybe invest in a little bit of a younger team.
Now, what's most important here is that everybody watching this, you got, whether you're a Knicks fan, a Celtics fan, whatever, you got to know ball. So you make sure you're fully updated on all the teams, so you're not just knowing about the Knicks. You got to make sure to subscribe to Celtics Digest right now. But look, with all that being said, any thoughts on where we could see Porzingis go as well?
I got a big one, and I'll
Bruce
take it.
does like one. He does like one. I'll give him that.
So I think Utah would be an interesting choice, and for many reasons included, Utah showed interest in Porzingis when the Celtics did go out and trade for him just last season. And two, I feel like Utah and for Porzingis, we've kind of seen, right? He's a fringe starting big, considerable, really solid backup big, right? And if you're a team like Utah who's trying to stay in the middle of the pack, getting a contract like that, specifically when you have a guy like Walker Kessler, who's already a dominant interior rim protecting big as well, I think kind of solves that solution for them, bringing in a solid backup big alongside of him. Now, contracts getting back, don't necessarily know what the Celtics would really be interested. Maybe a Colin Sexton to fill in that Drew Holiday role to potentially play alongside Peyton Pritchard, maybe a Jordan Clarkson or something like that with some of those young guys attached. But I think a team like Utah or a team that's kind of on the fringes looking for like a fringe starter slash very solid backup big that can still help you contend and be solid or hold you over in salary would be a team to look for.
Yeah, I mean, also just working with Danny Ainge too. He's kind of helped us out
Yes.
a little bit. He took on the Jaden Springer thing, kind of waved him and brought him back. Who knows what he's cooking over there? But they're trying to figure a bunch of things out. I mean, clearly they're just trying to get AJ Dibansta because they got just screwed in the lottery this year. And then he kind of Danny Ainge being a BYU guy goes to Utah Prep, and then he's going to BYU, and then now he's going to be the number one pick in the draft. I mean, talk about scripted, but I mean, I talked about that too. If the Celtics kind of take the route of retooling, scripted for us for the first pick, maybe. I mean, AJ is a Boston guy too. I mean, if we miss out on Cooper Flag, might as well get the other Boston guy. But when it comes to Porzingis, there was a little article today that Bruce and I thought was really funny. That there was a little trade talked about that maybe John Morant and Brandon Clark comes to the Celtics, and the Celtics trade a couple picks with Drew Holiday and Porzingis. I don't really like that. Honestly, I think that's dumb. But I think that there's a lot of interesting ways that the Celtics get. But like, Jaw doesn't fit in the Celtics
Yeah.
offense. An explosive guard like that. I feel like Jalen Brown's the same type of player, a little bit bigger. Like he's an explosive guard. They kind of do the same things. Maybe Josh shoots a little bit better, but other than that, like nothing's really like wowing me. But I think that they have a lot of opportunity to get a lot of like mid-tier pieces to kind of just fill in for a lot of pieces to just build around JT and JB because JB's not going anywhere. It's been in the talks for years. He's not going anywhere. But like, let's really be real. I mean, unless it's for Cooper Flag.
What about
But
Giannis?
no, I really
Nah.
don't. For, this is the thing for Celtics fans. Like, if you're a real fan, you really don't want to move on to JB, regardless of who it is. To be honest, like you can't break up that duo in JB and JT. Like they're locked in together until it dies. They already won a championship, so they did what they had to do. But these are Celtics for life. Honestly, it's like Brett Gardner being in free agency and not wanting to go anywhere else but the Yankees. That's what it's
The
like for you New York
beast.
fans. I'd
Kind of
love
second
the Yankees.
kind of to second Patrick's point too a little bit there, and then I'll let you take it, Chris. Is obviously like as well with the Celtics, like next year, if you're not going to have Jason Tatum for majority of the season, if you are looking to trade like a Porzingis or a Drew Holiday, you're looking for, I guess, kind of guys that can fill in that role for Jason Tatum, right, at that wing position and kind of just like supplementary pieces for this season or just additional salaries that potentially, like we saw with Porzingis and Drew Holiday when they went those moves, they took guys like Grant Williams, Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon,
That
all those guys, compiled them together and sent them away for those guys. So you could see the Celtics also doing something like that with a little bit of a reset, right? Flipping a Porzingis for two tradable contracts, maybe flipping a Drew Holiday for another two tradable contracts, and then next year taking a little bit of a reset without Tatum. And then once Tatum is back into the full swing of things with Derek White, with Jalen Brown, can really reset this team, especially if Al Horford retires or is on a cheaper contract. They have a little bit more flexibility to really add and kind of maybe pursue a Bam Adebayo. I know a lot of Celtics fans really want him because he has that close connection with Jason Tatum all the way dating back to Duke, but maybe in a year or two, if Miami's on the fringes of stuff, that's someone that's attainable, or just someone of those other names that could spark some intrigue for Boston to really put them back again on that mile top like they did when they added Porzingis and Drew.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who expects the Knicks to have a similar roster, I do think there is going to be one fairly major change to the Knicks. Based off contracts and similar financial situations, I actually do expect the Knicks to trade Mitchell Robinson over this offseason. He's got 1 year left on his contract. Yeah. After this season, he's got that 1 year left on an expiring deal. You got to repay Mikal. You got to repay Josh Hart. Mitch becomes the odd man out. It's the only guy on the team who Leon Rose didn't acquire, so the connection's not there as much. Everything screams to me that Mitchell Robinson's going to get moved on from this summer, especially now you're selling high. Like, the way he's played in this series against the Celtics, you're selling high on Mitchell Robinson. I mean, a few different teams come to mind. One of them's the Lakers, obviously, just because the fact that they need a big man depends on if they're willing to take the risk on an injury-prone guy like Mitch when LeBron's at the tail end of his career. There's a few other teams as well. Need to check these comments real quick as well because there might be something.
Chris, real quick, is Mitch the longest tenured Nick right now?
Yes, by a very wide margin.
That's funny. I mean, yeah, keep going, bro.
He Mitch was drafted the same year the Knicks drafted none other than Kevin Knox, and
Nice.
one of my prouder,
Nice.
not nice, awful, because in fairness, I was adamant that they should draft Michael Porter Jr. and Mikal Bridges where I'm right. Where I'm wrong is saying I'm so happy at least they didn't draft that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander guy, which is not the way you pronounce it. It's Gilgeous, I was like, he
That would have
sucks.
been brutal.
I was like, oh, he's terrible. He's going to be a nightmare in the NBA, like a 13-point per game guy. He's not going to be good.
Hand up. I was that with Trae Young. I was like that with Trae Young. I thought he was just good with the college style of basketball, so that's a hand up on me. But we don't like Trae Young in this stream, right? No Trae Young fans over here.
Nobody likes Trae Young.
But,
Do I go and get my Trae Young shirt?
No. You shouldn't do that.
As you're looking at the comments, I'll kind of touch on Mitchell Robinson because I've talked to a lot of my boys about Mitchell Robinson, and I thought he should have been gone a long time ago just because of how injury prone he is. And I just think that like things just weren't working and he was just constantly just getting injured. But I mean, his offensive rebounding, he's probably the best offensive rebounder in the NBA, which is unbelievable. He's giving them a lot of second chance, even fourth chance opportunities at gaining some points in this game. I mean, the whole series, it's felt that way. It's been a 3-on-1 for the boards. He's tipping it up to himself, literally grabbing everything. But I think that his value, what has he got, 1 year on his contract after this?
Mitch?
Yeah, or
Yes,
is he a free
next year.
agent?
To my closet.
Please tell me, yo, if you have a Pac Home Deontay jersey, I'm leaving
I
the
was gonna
store.
say he definitely has a combed out
I-
jersey.
Look, I do have a Josh Hart rookie Lakers jersey before he changed his jersey number with the Lakers, so I got that. Bruce, what's the craziest jersey you got in your closet?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say probably the most obscure one. The most obscure one that I can name off the top of my head, and there's a reason why I have this, is a Joe Harris Nets jersey. And it's because
I know we got that. No, we
and
got
it's
no.
because
Tough.
it's because my friend shout out Joe Turco, but he had a Joe-themed 21st birthday party where everyone came as a famous Joe. And since I similarly kind of can resemble Joe Harris a little bit with my hair and stuff like that, I went with the style. So I bought a Joe Harris jersey. It was pretty cost effective when you really think of it, $60 for a
Norman Powell jerseys. That's my guy. No, you do not. Oh my god.
I was
Wrong
gonna say he's got
number,
the Pacome
Pacome
Dottier.
Dottier. Why? Because
No
I got
way.
it when he was in Summer League. This is the Pacome Dottier jersey.
That's
When
brutal.
Kevin Durant comes, you can just write Durant with over the. I got an Arizona State James Harden. If we want to talk about some college, going back to those ties as well.
I've got a. You would like this because you're a Boston guy. I've got a Jacoby Ellsbury last name Yankees jersey. It gets cooked every time it's worn. I don't even wear it. You remember when Models and like Sports Authority were a thing? You got to go in.
Yes.
I had no Yankees jersey. I outgrew them. That was the only. I'm a Steelers fan, so they always had a Palomalu jersey. They just have random jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
So happened that the only one in my size was a last name Jacoby Ellsbury Yankees jersey, and I have it. Probably the only place in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
after what he
Jacoby, that
did to
was
the
99.
Yankees, I'm shocked you still have it.
I would
That
rather
was a
Kevin
great
Youkilis.
play for his last trick for the Red
Oh.
Sox. Jacoby Ellsbury is going to rob the Yankees of what, 182 million, whatever the hell it was. It's like for what? For my final trick.
Yeah, for my
So-
final trick on Yankees Digest, I will rob you of blindly.
All my boys keep saying they get EMP'd from the stream earlier, Chris. What's going on over there?
Oh man, look. Here's what we do know about the stream. The great moderator of our streams, Charlie Nix, has finally returned. And by finally returned, I mean he just tuned into the stream because we haven't
Shout
streamed
out.
in a while. Shout out to Charlie Nix. He's our mod. He's been our mod for a while, ever since we started these
You had a
Knicks
mod?
Digest happy hours. Yeah, Charlie Nix has been our best commenter, and he's the best. So
It's
I made
fine.
him a moderator one day because this video not
Patrick,
officially
we might have
sponsored
to
by
do
White
that.
Claw until one day when they decide to sponsor us, and then it will be. But
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
sponsored by
anyone knows
Derek
White Claw,
Rydell instead.
Yeah.
Jack
Sponsored
Daniels,
by-
please
It's sponsored
sponsor
by
me.
this. It's sponsored by this guy instead.
we got some sponsors.
I mean,
here.
do you think that the Derek White going bald move is probably a top 5 move of all time in NBA history?
That might be the greatest head shave in NBA history for sure. Might be
I
the
can't think of
best.
Can't think of any honestly in general.
Can you like think of him with hair? I thought about that the other day.
I saw
I
a
scrolled
video
up-
on Twitter today of his cut where it's just all pushed back and it's like a
Oh,
barber
yeah.
shop.
I saw like scrolling through pictures the other day, like the post while the game was on. I posted a picture of with him with hair, and I was like, wait a minute, this is what he looks like with hair. Like I completely forgot. Like you know what I mean? I was like, wow, he
No,
looks
it-
completely different.
Also, anyone in the chat, drop some comments down for us. We're still here for a little bit. Game times in about what is it on ESPN tonight?
Yeah, we got an 8
Yes, it
p.m.
is, so
Usually
it's-
happy hour lasts an hour 15.
that means an extra 40. That means an extra 45 minutes till game time, of course.
Yeah.
Yo,
yeah.
drop some questions in the comments for us, y'all.
Yeah,
we got.
We do a 75-minute happy hour here, so y'all got another 15 minutes. We're here, we're talking, and
But
one
Chris,
thing that what's up?
Just real quick, Bruce actually doesn't have happy hour because apparently Massachusetts doesn't have that. Which
Yeah, we
I've heard.
don't. We
So
don't.
they
we
don't have the luxury of a happy hour.
Yeah, we don't. It's illegal in our state because of the amount of people that got into drunk driving accidents.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah,
That's a shame.
it is a shame. We do have happy hour at Sonic though with the slushes. That still counts.
No, it
But
doesn't.
there's only
you,
one-
you pour
but there's only
vodka into
one
it, you
song.
pour something to it.
What are we in Utah?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. There's only one Sonic in Massachusetts, so
Oh, that sounds about right, honestly.
it's very
Yeah,
tough
yo,
to get there.
drop some questions for us down here. We still got some viewers in here.
Absolutely. We got one thing that we
Oh,
do
my
have to talk about is Karl-Anthony Towns. There's a lot of discourse. There's a lot of Towns discourse
Okay.
going on here. Our mod and Charlie has brought him up saying that Cat shooting more threes is a huge, or not shooting more threes is a huge issue for the Knicks. On top of that, the stupid fouls is taking him away as well. He's supposed to be the number 2 option, and then in most games he's vanishing. I believed harder in Karl-Anthony Towns for this series. He's averaging around 20 points and 12 rebounds. That's not bad.
which is still good. It's good.
It's not Cat though. That's not Karl-Anthony Towns numbers. We need those Karl-Anthony Towns numbers. We need to see him
Chris,
step up in those situations.
his percentages from three are awful.
Yeah.
How many threes? I could probably count on one hand how many threes that I remember him making. I don't think it's many. Two? It is two. See, I was gonna say one. I mean, just again, you got to change the game plan up at one point. I mean, he's capable of playing down low. Like he's very talented in all aspects on offensive end, and he's just kind of sticking to one plan, and that's just pulling the three, and I guess just trying to boom on somebody. But I wouldn't let him boom on me. That's
I don't have the lineup, Patrick, but I do have some confirmation. We all know that Kristaps was cleared off the injury report ahead of the Knicks game tonight, right? No Sam Hauser, no Kristaps, Tatum being the only one. Joe Mazzulla was asked about Kristaps Porzingis at the game, at pregame before the game, and roughly around 30 minutes ago, he did say that he will be playing tonight. Did not give any information on if he will be starting. Did not give any information if he will be, playing how many minutes, but he will be playing tonight.
all right. So, Chris, what we found out was I don't know where you get your starting lineups from. Are you like a Twitter type of person when you get your lineups?
I'm a Twitter type of person.
So, X. Sorry, Elon, if you're somehow watching this shit, but
If Elon Musk is currently tuned into Knicks Digest Happy Hour, like we know he's a big fan of.
so if you use NBA.com, they come out with the starting lineups. I literally found this out Wednesday. The Celtics are running that same lineup as last game, so and obviously the Knicks are going to run the same lineup as well, and they'll show the whole lineup, Chris. If you want to see this real quick, it'll show. Usually it shows the whole roster, but right now it doesn't. But all the orange boxes will usually be the starters. So the Celtics got the same starting lineup tonight, which I honestly expected. But I think that Kristaps will definitely be used more for the hack and Mitch more than Luke Cornett after what we saw last game.
I agree.
I would use him that way personally.
He's just a straight decoy right now because you still got to guard him. Right? He's not shooting well from three. He's like 10% from three, but like you still got to guard him because he came out and said that he is more comfortable shooting a 30-footer than being an inch behind the 3-point line, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't like when he shoots threes still. I still get uncomfortable. I've seen Porzingis for enough years.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Randall clears Towns. If the Knicks were fully healthy last year, they would have gotten to the ECF. Well, it wasn't just Randall who was injured last year. By the end of that Pacers series, we'd lost. My friend and I went over this on Tuesday. If the Knicks had played the Celtics, say they won that series and all the injuries still happened, starting lineup, I'm not kidding you, would have been Deuce McBride, Dante DiVincenzo, Alec Burks, Precious Achiuwa, Isaiah Hartenstein. Our bench,
so tough. That reminds me of those old Knicks with like Wilson Chandler, Gallinari, like Jordan Hill and David Lee, like just like random names, or like the 13 Celtics, Bruce. I love random.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Don't get me started on the Phil Pressey, Jared Sullinger, Gerald Wallace Celtics, baby. Don't even get me started.
Look,
I was there. The blonde Mohawks, him and Marcus Smart.
Look,
Brandon Bass used to be down there as well. That's maybe a little bit earlier, but
it took you guys a year.
Don't get me started on Brandon Bass, please.
That's the Nets' fault. That's the Nets' fault, Chris. That's the Nets' fault.
Still, you guys had a year of suffering. For years.
It's the Nets' fault.
For 2 years, I watched Lance Thomas and Lou Odmanson be my small and power forward.
That's sick. No, Lance Thomas, he was him. And who was
Lance Thomas from the mid-range was that guy. I won't even lie. I love Lance Thomas. To this day, I'm a huge Lance Thomas guy.
Who was the center? Jason something.
Jason Smith?
Yes,
Jason
is that
Smith,
his name?
who was with the Pelicans and then signed with the Knicks. And yeah, and all he would do was just pull elbow shots, but he was water, so it worked. When he was
Lance Thomas was water, too. Lance Thomas was water.
I'm not kidding you, Pat. By the end of that 2014-15 season, I will die on this hill. First of all, our best player was rookie Langston Galloway because Melo tore the patellar tendon in his knee. So shout out to Melo for trying to play through that for 2 months because the Knicks had 5 wins, and at one point, I'm not kidding you, we're 5-34. And
Oh yeah.
then All-Star break comes around. Melo's like, I'm done. He plays the All-Star game. Did not play another game after that. Also, Melo was an All-Star starter. The final year, he was an All-Star starter. He had the torn patellar tendon, was playing. This game was in Madison Square Garden. This man was pulling threes. He went like 1 for 8 because he couldn't fucking. Oops,
Yeah.
he couldn't walk.
I did that today in our video. I did that to Bruce. So I mean, we're 1 for 1. Yo, but like I love the upscore. Like I went to that my first and only Celtics game I've been to at TD Garden was against that Knicks team where they had Melo and it was Porzingis' rookie year. Evan Turner had a go-ahead pull-up on the free throw line. Like I love it. Like I sent it in the chat to all of us the other day. Apparently, no one knows who Sasha Vojicic is anymore. Someone said they thought it was Jose. I don't know who that was, but I'm not gonna.
That was the other guard.
Yeah, dude, I love that Knicks era in like the early 2010s to like 2017. I love all those players. I eat that.
So you like Alexei Shved and Lou
Alexei Shved is my guy.
Yes. Dude, all the Knicks fans, they know about Lou Mudson. They know about him.
So
I know about him too from Shaq and a Fool.
Oh my
Come
god,
on.
that play. Oh
Where he airballed the layup.
yes. We just goes for a layup and hits. First of all,
Nothing.
when we brought in Lou Odmanson, we brought in 2 other players with him. One of them's Lance Thomas, the GOAT. Literally before Jalen Brunson, Lance Thomas was the last captain of the Knicks. That was
Wait,
a
they
lot.
made him a captain?
Yeah,
They made him a captain?
They named Lance Thomas captain in the 2017-18 season.
Reserved.
And I agree. You know what? I agree. I love Lance Thomas. Lance Thomas is the guy, dude. But before that was Melo for years. But then they didn't have one. There was a game that I remember watching because I was at some event for like when my brother was in high school. Because the first 17-65 season before we got back to the playoffs. Because there was 2. There was another one after that, but our first one, I was in my car watching the game on one of those 10 million websites where you could watch a game for free, and I'm watching Langston Galloway being our best player, our second best player being our shooting guard, Alexei Shved, who I will swear by should have stayed in the NBA. That dude was actually good. Like, I will die on the Alexei Shved was a good role player hill. That man had an incredible ability to create off the dribble threes. Nobody cared, and it killed me because I love Alexei Shved was the one guy who was like, I'd wear that jersey. I'd wear an Alexei Shved jersey. I respect Alexei Shved, who we traded Pablo Persione for, which hurt my soul because he's Pablo. But then, because Pablo was on that team in 2014-15 until we moved into the Rockets for Shved, and then our front court, Lance Thomas, Lou Odmanson, and a mix of whoever you want to pick of Andrea Bargnani, Jason Smith, or best of all at one point, Samuel Dallenberg. Remember him? I barely do.
So he played
What
for
about
the
Steve Novak? What about Steve Novak, the great three-point
three-point
shooter?
contest. He was in the three-point. I had a Facebook post of me being pumped about him being in that three-point. Oh, yeah. Also, met Brandon Bass back in the day at the Hall of Fame. I went to the Hall of Fame this summer. If you guys haven't been to the Basketball Hall of Fame, every summer they have a lineup every single day of a player that'll show up. And I was like, who's showing up today? They got like a couple hours. They're like, oh, we got a show. And they're like, Brandon Bass. I actually almost just like, I freaked out in front of the I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Brandon Bass is pulling up to the Hall of Fame today. That is an absolute legend. I love all of that. I'm eating it up right now. It's not a good conversation to get into because I could do it all day.
Look, not gonna lie, Patrick, he's one of my favorite Celtics from back in the day too. He got the energy going in Boston, bro. He was like, besides KG, Rondo, all those guys, he was like the homer, one of the homer like guys before Jeff Green even. I know Jeff Green was a little bit after that time. He was kind of one of those homer guys exactly for the Celtics as well, but he was just that like role player that like everybody loved and just gave his effort out there 24/7. Did not take his foot off the gas at all. And even if he looked bad in some instances, he was doing it for the fans, and that's all you can really appreciate with Brandon Bass and guys like that. Shout out Luigi Totome as well. He was one of those guys on that
Oh my
on that
God, like,
13 Celtics
he's
team.
been
But
all over
Luigi,
that list.
like the trend on TikTok a couple months ago, it was like name a random NBA role player. Luigi Datome was the
Yeah.
guy that I used because that is my guy, the lurky one. Me and my cousin used to celebrate every time he got in, and that's how you know when you have been through the trenches with the Celtics and with Chris with going through these Knicks teams, talking about these random guys like Lou Robinson, Alexei Shved, Luigi Datome, Brandon Bass, all those guys that really helped the infrastructure to where we have gotten now.
In those trends, I would always look for Alexei Shved's name because if someone commented him, I was like, that's my guy. Like, to me, Lou Odmanson and his very long hair that one day he shaved his head and everyone was like, why? Lou Odmanson was not because Lou Odmanson. My one beef, and this isn't with Lance Thomas. It's not his fault. He didn't do anything to deserve this. So I love Lance Thomas again because Melo loved Lance Thomas, and those Knicks teams had one good player on him in Carmelo Anthony. So it was just Melo against the world, and he loved Lance. So Lance is my guy as well. Lance Thomas, Lou Odmanson, and Alex Kirk. Few games on the Cavs. Redhead. That's fun. They and a second round pick got traded for Amon Shumpert and J.R. Smith. So great trade for us. Dion Waiters ends
Chris,
up in Oklahoma City.
so everyone, even though I'm shouting at my 16-year-old garbage ass hair when it was the man,
What a
me and Sasha Vujicic right there, man. Like I said, I mean, I went up to, I was like, Sasha. I mean, I was probably the only person who'd know whose name he was. Like, I got his autograph that night too. I mean, like, NBA champ, no, with the Lakers. Like, how do we
Yeah.
not know this guy?
I mean, he hit those 2 free throws that iced the game, and I think I don't know if it was against you guys or the Magic, but I know he
So
hit
is
2
he
game
up
icing
there?
free
So
throws.
what you're saying, Chris, is that he's up there with Robert Horry when it comes to a clutch bucket.
Sort of, because he did ice the game was 90. I don't know what the score exactly was, but the Lakers were up 2, and then Vujicic got fouled, hit 2 free throws. And either the Celtics or the Magic ended up losing on the next possession. But what I do know is I went to a Knicks game once when the Knicks were terrible. This was 2016, 2017. Whenever Phil Jackson was there, Vujicic was one of the first guys he signed. Well, the first guy who he signed, if you guys remember, his first move as executive of the New York Knicks was to sign Lamar Odom, who was on crack.
Crack.
Oh God, dude, I eat all that old stuff up, man. I'm looking at the comments here. I gotta answer my boy T real quick. I do think Torrey Craig's gonna play, by the way, to kind of get back on the game because
Yeah.
we get we know how the guys are. Like we get into some obscure stuff, it's gonna keep rolling. But I think Torrey Craig's gonna play tonight. He did get some burn, but like I think this is a good time to get other guys some burn. I've been crying for some Baylor Shireman. I really have. Like, Chris, I don't know about you. Like, is like if you could just give me a name quick so I can like kind of finish out what I'm saying. Is there anyone on the Knicks bench that like you think that would give the Knicks some fire? That's like a guy that's gonna dive on the floor, hit like a big three, like so to say, even if it's just one, but just kind of dive on the floor, just kind of give like
Landry
everyone on the
Shamet.
court. Really?
Instantly Landry Shamet. Love Landry
I mean,
Shamet.
there's really no one
Upset
else.
he's not playing.
Being honest. There's really no one else to be honest, like respectfully. But I do understand them,
Pins out.
honestly because I had his rookie year he was going crazy, but um he I think that Baylor Shireman like because I'm a Big East guy. I watched him so many times. He's a guy that scored 1,000 points at 2 different schools. He was a top tier player at Creighton. I think that he brings that Big East energy of getting on the floor, fighting for these loose balls, and he's actually able to score at all 3 levels and hit a big three. And I think that his energy would bring something different to the squad that's already on there with someone who's already missing a piece like JT. If they kind of get down about like 10 to 15 points and Joe's looking down the bench and clearly he's going to be towards the front of the bench because that's where the guys that don't play are. I think that he's going to be that guy to step up because Torrey Craig's going to pick up on offense, on defense, definitely. But Baylor on offense and even on the defense, then just kind of dive for a loose ball. I think he's the guy that you look at.
I have wondered if Torrey Craig was going to get burned. I'm a fan of Torrey Craig's game. When you're 6'8", defend, shoot, rebound well. You seem like also man knows how to win, but on 2 winning teams in the same season. So
Yeah.
I think Craig should get minutes if anyone does on the Celtics from the outsider perspective. I'm a big fan of Torrey Craig's game personally.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think they kind of brought him in off the buyout market to kind of do that as well, right? Like a team like Chicago didn't trade him and waived him because they thought he could help out a team like that on these fringes. And we saw, I know last season in the Eastern Conference Finals, O'Shea Brissett kind of take that leap in game one or
Celtics
game two
legend.
where he got, yes, Celtics legend, where he got a little bit of burn with the Celtics, and he was like a +7 in like the few minutes that he did play. So like even like Patrick's just saying, like even if it's only for 3 to 5 minutes, just to kind of bring that spark defensively or offensively to hit a big shot or something like that, I could see them kind of diving into Craig. And like Patrick was saying as well, offensively, I think if they are going a little bit cold, maybe looking to a guy like Sharman could kind of bring out that punch that the Celtics do need to kind of claw back into this. And we've seen him in the summer league dive for loose balls, make reckless plays to keep the possessions alive. So I'm sure he'll do that in a postseason game as well.
Because I do think that Joe definitely trusts him more than a couple other guys off the bench. I don't know if Peterson is dressed up or not. I'm kind of confused with what's going on with
Yeah,
him.
they can't play him because it's two-way. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
So
Yeah.
like clearly he trusts Baylor Shireman over Jordan Walsh, who's been like kind of this product that they're kind of working on here. JD Davison hitting his first career postseason shot. Fire. Been watching him since high school. Who doesn't love his mixtape? But I'm looking at your comments, bro. Like, I really do think that Torrey Craig and Baylor Shireman are kind of those guys that haven't been getting a lot of minutes and will get some time, like if really needed. I think that Torrey Craig will come into like a big defensive type of play if guys like Jalen Brown and a couple other of those forwards get into some foul trouble. But if they're looking for some offense, I think they're going to look more towards Baylor. But I don't think they really needed it too much last game just because it was so back and forth at a point. But if it's kind of like they're down 10 to 15 points, you need some fire on both ends. I think that's Baylor Shireman.
Well, I think the Knicks are going to win by 25. I don't actually think that, but I do think the Knicks are going to win this game. And I'm confident to watch this thing go down. So any final thoughts, guys, before we get ready to go watch this game?
Yeah, Chris, I think we do this, Bruce and I, before games, kind of give our little prediction for the score and who you think your MVP is going to be. So,
Let's do it.
Bruce, you can go first. We'll let Chris go last.
Sounds good. Obviously, thank you guys for coming out, hanging out with us on this stream on Chris's channel. We do appreciate
A
Chris
lot
for
of
having us
energy,
on
man. I
here.
love it.
Once again, it was awesome. You guys in the comment section, regardless if you were Knicks fans, brought out the energy and brought out the fun for this series, and we really do appreciate that. So once again, thank you guys so much. I Going into game five was confident in game five, wasn't as confident into game six and game seven. But after that win and a dominating performance, I am confident. Patrick said Kevin McHale, Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, they're all going to be courtside in MSG. And I feel these Celtics coming out and getting another win. Joe Mazzulla said we're going to take this one game at a time. And that hero is coming out. Jalen Brown, Derek White, Luke Cornett once again making an impact. My MVP for this game tonight is going to be Drew Holiday. He's going to make an impact. We've seen him in game sixes have a 5-1 record. And one of those games, he beat the Boston Celtics back on the Sixers in 2012. Another one, the one that he lost was versus the Celtics in 2022. I expect him to have a big game offensively, specifically with the Knicks trying to focus more on Jalen Brown and Derek White. And I do think the Celtics will be able to secure this game. I think they're going to win by 5 points.
I like that, Bruce. I really do like that. I mean, a lot of guys in the building, they just saw JT. I mean, if I went against the Celtics, I'd have to take away my jersey and take away my fandom, but I'm not going to do that, honestly. I really never would. But I think tonight's going to be one of the best games that we've seen this series. I think game five was one of the best games that we've seen all series, but I think a lot of guys are going to have to step up. But man, if I really had to pick one, I did tell you, Bruce, in the last time that we did this, I said that Jalen Brown would be kind of that game six type of guy. So I think I'm going to stay with that. And I do think
Yep.
that the Celtics win by 7, whatever the math would be on that. We did say it's going to be a little bit of a high scoring game. Let's go with 117 to 110. The Celtics, one of the best NBA teams on the road. They have never really been good in the past couple of years at home, so nothing has really surprised me when it comes to those home playoff games. But on the road, they usually take care of business. But like I said, they saw JT tonight, and who are you going to do it for? Don't let me get all hyped up on the Knicks stream right now. Who are you going to do it for? And guys, once again, just a shameless plug, Celtics Digest. There's a lot going on with the Celtics, and God forbid on my end, if something happens with the Celtics tonight, there's a lot of moves that are going to be had. And if you're just interested in that, come and check us out. And if you're not even subscribed to Knicks Digest, please go ahead, give Chris some love over here, man. They do some good stuff. The Knicks, definitely a good team to always keep track of. They do a lot of stuff in the offseason. Who knows what they're ever going to do, even in the draft. I mean, it's always a toss-up. It's as if they're the Mavs trying to trade Luka. But, guys, thank you so much for all the love. It's very refreshing to kind of see different people comment, and we love it.
All right. Pat's prediction was close to mine. I think the Knicks are winning this game by 11. I'm going to go 115 to 104. Knicks win this game. Jalen Brunson's going for 43 points. I think the Knicks are going to take it similar to Pat. I'm not going against my squad. I refuse to do that. I just truly do think the Knicks are going to win this game. They had the Celtics probably 3-1 prior to the Tatum injury. I think the Knicks have still some good momentum left. I do think that this team, when it takes them to get their back pushed into a wall to really show their teeth and show who they are, but when they do get their back against the wall, when they feel that pressure, this team comes through. More importantly, Jalen Brunson, he comes through. He's shown that he's ready for this moment. This is a battle-tested unit. I expect the Knicks to close this thing out, but more importantly, guys, as Pat said, subscribe to Knicks Digest. No one cares. No, I'm kidding. Everyone cares about Celtics Digest, but subscribe to Celtics Digest right now because, guys, again, you got to know ball. You can't just know about the Knicks. So make sure to subscribe to Celtics Digest. See both of these excellent creators, even though Bruce went to Seton Hall and Sacred Heart's way better.
Real shoe. The real shoe.
Yeah, the real shoe. And shout out to Sacred Heart as well. And shout out to Seton Hall also. But but less so. Less so than Sacred Heart. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into Knicks Digest Happy Hour. We'll be here every week. These two obviously will be back very soon. Stay tuned for all these videos coming because we got a bunch of good videos on Knicks and Celtics Digest. We got a bunch of good live streams coming, and these two will be making their regular appearances on these Knicks Digest Happy Hours because they just make it oh so fun, and we need some more Knicks and Celtics rivalries. So once Matt gets here, we could have the 4-person going as well.
Hey, look, I know my Knicks stuff, man. I'm watching it. I got all my talking about the Knicks all the time. These are my guys. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Vujacic poll. So we know how it goes. Stay tuned every single Friday for a Knicks Digest Happy Hour stream every day for Knicks and Celtics drops. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you after this game ends. You'll see me celebrating because the Knicks are winning. Have a great day and go Knicks. And you know what?
Go Celtics, baby.
See